So, you're a designer. You know what it's like to pour everything into a project. But making something great is really only half the job. The other half, the part that really matters, is making sure it connects with the right person.
And that brings us to the one question that sits at the heart of every single successful design. Without an answer, your most beautiful chair or brilliant app is kind of like a ship without a harbor. So, how do we find that person? It all starts by asking the right questions.
To get to the bottom of this, we need to think a little less like designers and a bit more like explorers. We're about to take a journey into the mind of our potential user.
Now, every good explorer needs a map, and ours, believe it or not, comes from the world of marketing. But don't worry, this isn't about dry business theory. Think of it as a powerful set of tools for understanding the why behind what people choose.
It all kicks off with this concept: consumer buyer behavior. I know, sounds a bit academic, right? But all it really is a way to understand the whole journey a person takes before, during, and even after they decide to use a product. For us as designers, this is pure gold. It helps us uncover the hidden needs and wants that our designs can actually solve.
To make this all easier to picture, marketers have this fantastic analogy: the buyer's black box. Imagine your design. That's the input. A person sees it, maybe they touch it, they learn about it, and then something happens inside their mind, inside this mysterious black box, and a decision pops out the other side. I need this, or nah, not for me. Great design is really all about figuring out what's going on inside that box.
And this model right here, this is basically a map of that whole process. See, on the left, you have the stimuli. That's things like your product's design, its price, but also just what's going on in the world around them. All of that goes into the black box, the buyer's mind, and that's where the decision gets made. The response is what comes out. They buy it or they don't. The most important thing to remember here is that your design work is one of the most critical inputs in this entire chain reaction.
Which, of course, leads us to the million-dollar question, doesn't it? What is actually going on inside that mysterious box? What's the magic that turns someone who's just looking into someone who's buying?
Well, it's not just one thing. A user's decision is actually this complex blend of four powerful forces. You've got situational stuff, like where they happen to be; personal stuff, like their age and lifestyle; social factors, friends and family; and deep psychological things, like their inner motivations. Nobody makes a choice in a vacuum.
Let's make this real. Imagine you're designing a new backpack. Personal factors, like if the user is a college student or a CEO, completely change the design. Psychological factors determine if they care more about durability or looking cool. Social factors, like what their friends are all carrying, create this kind of invisible pressure. And situational factors, are they using it for a mountain hike or for a crowded city commute? That changes everything. All of these forces are just swirling around inside that black box.
Okay, so we get it. There are a ton of factors influencing people. And honestly, that can feel pretty overwhelming. How in the world can we possibly design for all that complexity? Well, this is where we get smart. This is where we go from asking the broad why to the very focused who.
Here's the secret. You can't be everything to everyone. When you design for the general public, you usually end up with a product that excites absolutely no one. The solution is this incredible framework called STP: segmentation, targeting, and positioning. Think of it as your secret weapon for bringing crystal clear focus to your work.
The STP process is just a simple, logical three-step journey. First, you break down the entire market into smaller, digestible groups. That's segmenting. Then, you choose the one group you want to focus on. That's targeting. And finally, you craft your product's story just for them. And that's positioning.
So step one is segmentation. This is where we slice and dice the market into groups. We can do it geographically, like designing a product for people in a cold climate versus a warm one. We can use demographics, like age. We can use psychographics, which means targeting people who share certain values, like sustainability. Or we can even use behavioral data, focusing on people who, say, are always the first to try new tech. So, once you have your segments, you move on to targeting. And this is where you, the designer, get to make a strategic choice. You decide which group you can serve best. And here's the key insight. Choosing a narrow target isn't limiting, it's empowering. It lets you create something that a very specific group of people will absolutely fall in love with, instead of a product that a lot of people just kinda like. All right, so you've picked your target, you've found your people. Now what? This brings us to the final, and maybe the most creative step. This is where you build a bridge between your design and your audience by telling them a story they actually care about. And that bridge is positioning.
Positioning isn't about a list of features. It's about the space your product owns inside your user's head. Is it the toughest, the most beautiful, the most eco-friendly? You are literally defining how you want your user to think about your design compared to all the other options out there.
I know this can feel a little bit abstract, so let's use a perfect and maybe slightly controversial example to make it all click. Pineapple pizza. This one image shows the entire STP framework perfectly.
Let's just walk through it. First, segmentation. They split the entire world into 3 simple groups. People who like pineapple on pizza, people who really don't, and people who don't eat pizza at all. Next, targeting. They realize trying to convert the haters is a waste of time, so they focus 100% of their energy on the pineapple lovers. And finally, positioning. They don't argue with anyone. Instead, they build their whole story around delivering the absolute tastiest pineapple pizzas to the people who are already on their side. It's focused, it's clear, and it works.
So, let's bring all this back home. We've taken a peek inside the customer's mind, and we've walked through this strategic framework for finding our audience. Why does any of this matter for you in the studio, sketching out your next big idea?
Because understanding consumer behavior and using the STP framework isn't just some marketing chore you tack on at the very end. It is a core, fundamental part of the design process itself.
Ultimately, when you know exactly who you're designing for and why they make the choices they do, you can make better decisions about everything. The materials you use, the form it takes, the features it has. It allows you to design a more focused, a more relevant, and a more meaningful product right from the start.
And that's the thought I really want to leave you with. Take a look at the project on your desk right now. Think beyond its function, beyond its aesthetics for just a minute. Ask yourself, who is its story really for? And how can you tell that story even more clearly?